read 2 or 3 articles and you come to me and say, okay, doctor, I am done with the reading. No. Go read intensive literature review, and also you have to focus more at the latest in literature review, up to date. Okay? Don't go and read some topic from 1920. This is not acceptable. Unless if there is a related theory to your topic, then you can read a very old literature review. Okay? Then after you read literature review, then you can determine your research concept, you can determine your gap. You will know at which angle you will start. So this topic have many angles already. Let's say 10 angles, but one of these angles not have been studied yet. Here, okay. You start from this, right? And here you have to determine your gap or your problem statement after you read intensive literature review. And then here you have to also to determine your research concepts. If you ask me, students, why, doctor, I have to read literature review? Literature review is very important for you to figure out or to come out with the gap or the problem statements, because you have to start two problem statements, otherwise your research will be useless. I know some people they wasn't clear with their gap, and unfortunately they fell in Viva. Because the first question from the examiner come to you is, what is your gap? And how you be smart to explain your gap here. Be smart to explain your gap. Okay? To talk about the gap, actually, it needs another session because we have so many types of gaps, and it is very important to explain it clearly in this. Okay? So, if you also ask, what is the benefit of reading literature review? Too much literature review. Literature review will help you also to find your questions, your objectives, your also hypothesis. Okay? And then after you read literature review, you will, okay, you have already decided about the area of your topic. Now, after reading your literature review, you have to zoom down your topic. Don't go so wide. Don't go so broad, okay? So you have to zoom your topic. If you zoom down your topic, here you will be in the right direction to start, right? So if you get clear with your objectives, question, hypothesis, and then you have to be very specific. Here what? Here you will start to sit down and think about the related also theories. What is related theory to your topic? In quantitative, you have to find related theory. Why? It will help you to formulate your hypothesis. If you don't have a theory, how you can get your hypothesis or formulate your hypothesis? Let's give you one example on this. If you are doing something about the behavior, okay, the behavior of the students, what a kind of theory here you are going to use? Of course, one of the theory is cognitive theory, right? So you have to go and see what is the hypothesis, what is this theory assume. You have to adapt some of this theory, okay? Hypothesis, sorry. So for the research also, you can get more than one theory. It could be 2 or 3, depends on your research objective, okay? So to summarize this, or to summarize this, why literature review is very important in research or in quantitative methods? to provide the direction for your research question and hypothesis, and also helps you to introduce the problem statement or the gap, right? Okay, here let's also explain for you about the quantitative research process. What is the main components for your research? After you get clear with your, or after you have to determine, sorry, you have to determine first the gap. And also after the gap, you have to sit and write your questions and your objectives, okay? And for each question, sometimes you have to write down a hypothesis, depends on your objectives, okay? After that, you have to determine the participants. Who are your target population? Okay, who are your respondent for your thesis? And also you have to determine the sample and the sample size. Okay, after this, you have to select the methods needed to answer your questions. And when you select the methods, as I mentioned earlier, you have to get clear with your concept. What we mean by concepts here? Variables. I will explain for you the type of variables in a while. We have so many types of variables: independent, dependent, moderating, and also mediating variable, okay? So you have to also put under your consideration what kind of measurements you are going to use for your variables. These variables must be measurable, okay? And after all this, what is the measurements? What is the instruments? What we mean by this? It is all about the questionnaires. Okay, how your questionnaire will be answer your, or the survey will be answer your questions of the research and will be achieve your objectives of your study, right? After you come up with all this, you are ready with the survey, then here you have to go and collect your data. And you have also to determine what the techniques that you are going to use for collecting data. Okay? After you collect data, of course, you will be ready to analyze your data. And then you will understand and interpret the results or your findings. Right? Okay, if you ask me, doctor, how I can design my research? Of course, according or based on your objective. Sometimes the objectives needs a quantitative methods and sometimes needs also a qualitative methods. It is depends on your questions and objectives. Okay, I will also show you later some studies and some theses or research projects to get clear, to make you get clear more on the when you have to use quantitative and when you have to use qualitative methods, okay? So research design, it is all relevant to what? To your objectives, to your questions, right? So data collection, as I told you, later also I will explain for you more. You have to decide how you are going to collect your data. Is it through online survey? Is it, are you going to use traditional questionnaire? What we mean by traditional questionnaire? This is when you have to go to see the participant and you handle them your hard copy, okay? And also if you are conducting a qualitative, maybe you need to coding sheet or content analysis and so on. And sometimes also there is an advanced methods using one of the AI tools. Okay, and then you have to go for after this for data analysis. Here also, I will tell you what kind of techniques or what kind of statistical analysis you have to use for analysis. Okay. After you decide about your area, after you decide about your topic, now you have to determine your variables. Okay, what we mean by variables? What we mean by variables? As you see here, I give you here also one examples of variables. A variables means a characteristic that can be measured and that can also assume different values. Let's give you one example on this. This title or this topic, as you see, effects of social media usage on academic performance, a study of college students, grades, and engagements. Okay, so students, I want to hear from you now, please. Okay, if anyone want to share with me what you see here, how you can determine your variable from this title. Can anyone share with me? Students? Can anyone share with me how many variables have here in this title or on this topic? Can I hear from my students? Okay. Here, what are you going to study? Effects of social media usage, right? So I have here one variable. What is my variable here? Social media. Yeah, social media usage. Okay, here I got one variable. Another variable is academic performance. Okay, so another or the third variable is engagement. Engagement. Correct. So what about the college students? What we consider this as what college students? This is our participant. This is our target population. All right? So what we are going to test here, what we are going to observe here, academic performance and engagement, right? So we have here three variables, but from these three variables also we can assume different values. Okay, how we are going to measure social media usage? What is the value here? How I can get a new value here? How I can measure? Of course, to determine the amount of time that college students exposure or use social media usage, right? Okay, I will explain more on this example later. Just I give you this just to explain for you the variables here. Okay, what the types of variables? This is the common type of variables, which is independent variable. It is the variable that we that affect the dependent variable. Okay, it is the variable that influence the dependent variable in either a positive or a negative way. So can independent variable cues to increase the positive effects on dependent variable or can also decrease? Okay, and also here dependent variable, it is the variable that we are going to test. It is the variable that we are going to observe. Okay, the moderating variables, it is the variable that modified the relationship in between the independent and dependent variables. I will explain more. I have in a framework actually. And also we have what's so-called mediating variable. It is the variable that mediate the relationship between the independent and dependent variable. Okay, here I give you one example. Independent variable here go affect the dependent variable. So here what a kind of relationship you can see, it is direct relationship. So independent variable can affect dependent variable here. And also here I give you one example for mediation, or we can call it also intervening variable. So here the mediation mediate the relationship between IV and DV, right? We can also make abbreviation IV and DV. So it is mediate the relationship between two variables, right? So sometimes the relationship cannot go direct from IV to DV unless there is a mediating. Or also can go, but it will be a bit weak relationship, not that strong. Okay, I will share with you later my framework of my thesis. Then inshallah you will get clear. Okay, here also another example for mediating variable or mediation variable, or what I can also call it intervening variable. And here I give you one example. Let's say level of education is independent variable, which can affect the spending, okay, but through the income, right? Depends on your income, if your income is high or low. So here, income mediate the relationship between level of education and also spending. Here is the moderation. Please, students, you have to focus on the how the arrow is goes here. See, in the case of mediating, it is in between. Okay, it is mediate. But in the case of moderator, the arrow is come like this, right? Usually moderators are the information data, demographic data, gender, level of education, sometimes the age, okay? Here another example also for moderation. So exposure to international news can affect awareness toward international political issue, right? Here the relation come or goes direct. How exposure to international news can have direct relation to awareness. But here we can have moderating or moderation, right? Can gender, female or male or female. Okay, how it can? Here, if you want to study or if you want to test or to know the differences, how different exposure to international news in terms of gender in between male or female. Is there any significant relationship or not? Okay. Is male or female exposure more to the news? And is male or female have a high level of awareness toward the international political issue? Right? So here also another model for moderated and mediation when they come together in the same model. Can be also moderator come here, not only here. Can be also come here, right? So after you have done with your variables, with your questions, with your objectives, now since you are conducting or you are doing a quantitative research, you have to get hypotheses. How you get your hypothesis? As I mentioned earlier, you have to get related theory to your topic. So the hypothesis, the theory will help you to formulate your hypothesis, right? So what is hypothesis actually? It is assumption. It is a predictions, okay? It is a tentative statement outlining what you anticipate discovering in your research. Okay? You cannot guess randomly actually your hypothesis. You cannot predict randomly. Okay? You have to use a knowledge, or you have to read more in literature review. You have to read more in the theory that related to your topic first. Okay? So the hypothesis also, it is sometimes assumption. With that there is you can assume if there is a negative relationship between IV and DV, or or positive. Let's say also you can assume like that, the more your exposure to social media, the less that your academic performance will be, okay, or will be affect your academic performance negatively. Okay, here please, I have one example here. Please, I need you to work with me, right? Just I want to test how if you are understanding or not. The same topic that I give you earlier, effect of social media usage on academic performance. Here, what we said, how many variables we have? Okay, effect of social media usage. It will be the IV, or independent variable. What is the dependent variable here? Academic performance. What else?
Engagement.
Yes, engagement. I have one question for you students. How we are going to measure this variable? How we are going to measure this variable?
We have to collect data about the time that the students spend on social media.
Yeah, correct. This is correct. This is for which variable? IV variable, right?
Yeah, for the academic performance, like their grade and.
Yeah, their grades. And what about their engagement?
Engagement, maybe we need to ask them directly, like qualitative data or something. I'm not
engagement, sure. We mean by engagement, it is like participant in the classes, like also attendance in the classes, like also if they are very effective in terms of discussion in the classes or not, right? So this is also how we measure these variables. Okay. Let's say now, I just let me share with you my my thesis for a while here. Okay, as you see, this is my research objective for PhD thesis, to identify the sources of news and selected e-media that Malaysian academician depends on to gain information about Arabs. Okay, please look at my research question 1. What are the sources of news and selected electronic media that Malaysian academicians depend more on follow the international news? Right? You understand how you have to match your objective with your question? So here, look at my first hypothesis. News sources performance are different according to gender. Here I use what? Demographic data. For one question, for the first question or research question, I got how many hypotheses? 3 hypotheses. For also first question, you can break it into, first objective, sorry. First objective, you can break it into 3 or 4 questions, depends on. Okay, and then here you have to be careful also how you are going to measure, how you are going to get to achieve these objectives. Of course, you have when you design your questionnaires, you have to include this question in your research, in your questionnaire, and this research also will be, a research question will be break down into many questions. You understood? Right? Here the way you determine your objectives, your research question, and also your hypothesis. Okay, let's now say we have one research question. And in the example that I gave you, what is the nature and the extent of the relationship between college students, social media usage, and their academic performance as measured by their grades? Here, I can get out one or come out with one hypothesis, say that I can assume that increased social media usage is negatively associated with college students' academic performance as measured by their grades. Okay, so here let's also delve in quantitative research types. I only focus, I give you only, focus here only on almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of research questions. First of all is descriptive research. What do we mean by descriptive research? Here, when you want to describe the characteristics of the phenomena or the population. Okay, what is the phenomena? It is the issue that you are studying. So in here, in descriptive research usually just provide some statistics or some frequencies, mean and mean, and also standard deviation. But in descriptive research, no hypothesis testing. You will not need to test any hypothesis, right? Experimental research. Here also, this is whenever you want to do experiment research, it is what? When you want to manipulate independent variables to observe their effect on dependent variables. Okay, here you have to establish cause and effect relationship through the controlled. So let's say I give you here one example, the effect of caffeine consumption on short-term memory. Right? So how you are going to run your experiment research here? You bring 2 groups, you can choose them randomly, and you give the first group caffeine, and the second group You can give them normal water or normal water with a little sugar. Okay, and then after this, you can give them for a while, for let's say for 1 month or whatever. Then after this, you have to give them one test of short-term memory, and you can see the difference in between two groups. Right? We have also in quantitative research, correlation research, which examine the relationship between variables without manipulation. Okay, they use what we are going to use here, statistical techniques like correlation analysis to identify the pattern and association. Okay, how? As I give you here, if this correlate with this, if this related to this or have a relation to this, right? This is also one of the type of correlation. We have another type of quantitative also here. It is quasi-experimental research. It is actually similar to experimental research, but with like random assignments. What we mean here, we cannot go and choose the groups of experiment research randomly. Okay, we have to be careful with it, because we have to follow some practical and what? Ethical consideration. I give you one example here. If you want to apply a new teaching methods improve students' performance in mathematics, you cannot go assembly and choose a random two groups. No, you have to go to the school, let's say to the school or to the college. Let's say you have, and also you have to choose two classes from the same school. Let's say we have grade 6, A and B. So you have to choose group from year 6 A and year 6B. What is the ethical consideration on quasi-experiment? What is it? You have to get their consent. Okay. Let's say if you want to do also another research on the how certain content can affect the behavior of the children. Okay. For the ethical consideration, you cannot leave the students or the children to watch or to expose to the violent or to the aggressive content for 1 month. This is unethical. And also, first of all, whenever you want to do any experiment with them, you have to get the approval of their parents. Right? We have also another type come under the quantitative research, what's so called longitudinal. Here, this is very interesting. I have seen during COVID-19 or read during COVID-19 many research doing on this. How they can study the participant over time. Okay, let's say they have to study the participant or the phenomena or the issue of COVID-19 or the long-term effects of COVID-19 in last 2 years. And then they can also get another, they will study the long-term effects after 6 months. Let's say also next year, in 2 years. What happened also during COVID-19, since the SARS virus and COVID-19 almost is the same, there is some studies has been done on last time on SARS, and then after they extend that study to the time of COVID-19. Let's say what happened now in the Middle East countries, the revelations and all this unstable security situation, let's say, then they have to study the Arab Spring Revolution, what happening in Middle East since 2011, and then they have to conduct more study on nowadays, let's say 2024, because of what happening in some area there in Algeria or whatever, right? So another study also, or another type of quantitative research is cross-sectional research, which you can collect data at single points time. Means what? You don't have to study the phenomena before or after. You choose to study the phenomena today. Okay, what is the perception of students what is the perception of students toward Lincoln University facilities, let's say? This is cross-sectional research. So no before, no after. You don't say before last year or in future. Okay, in a single points in time. Okay, here, what is the common methods in quantitative design? Of course, survey. You have to collect data from a sample population through structured questionnaire and also experiment, as I just mentioned now, and observation studies. Okay, some students, they still think that observation and case studies is not quantitative methods. It is only qualitative. No, it can be a quantitative if you are collecting quantitative data. Okay, same also with case study. If you are collecting numerical data, can be also gathered through a survey, a questionnaire, a test, or also archival record, right? Secondary data analysis. This is also one of the quantitative design. This is also sometimes some people, they call it meta-analysis, how you can analyze some existing database collect from other purpose. Okay, let's here go step by step to prepare the questionnaire survey. How you can prepare your questionnaire survey? Of course, based on your problem statement and also based on your objective. Okay, and also why we need literature review? How literature review can help us to prepare our questionnaire? Who can answer me? Students, who can answer me? How literature review can help us to prepare or to come out with our survey? By adapting and adopting some instruments, some measurements from previous literature review. Of course, now, when are you coming to measure? When are you coming to, let's say, you want now to measure social media usage? Are you going to measure it randomly? No, you have to go and check literature review, how they measure social media usage, what items they use. And you have to adapt their items and you have to adapt their measurements, but be careful, you have to refer. You have to write down your sources, your reference. these items or these variables measurements is adapted from let's say Garbina 2020. Right? So, and also you can adopt. What we mean by adopt means you can have exactly measurements that have been used by literature review or by previous researchers, but also here be ethical. How to be ethical? You have to get the permission from the researcher. You have to get the permission from the scholars. You have to email him or her, get the permission. I am students from Linka or from UM or from UPM or whatever, conduct a research topic on this and that. And I am using the same variable that you used, and I would like to use your instrument or your measurements. Right? And then you have to wait for him until he answers. Then at the end of your PhD journey, or when you finish your thesis, you have to attach all this evidence in your appendix of your thesis. Right? What is the evidence? The permission from the researcher. You have to put it along in the appendix in your research. So it will not be questionable during your viva. If the panels later or the examiner ask you how you get this, tell him you have to answer that I adopt the survey of the Gardner 2020 and I have a permission. This is the permission. I have already contact with him. Right? Or also you can only adapt. What we mean by adapt, just you use the same dimension, okay? You use the same variables, but you with some modification. That this modification also will fit your question and your objectives. Means you don't take exactly the items of the researcher, right? So here it is adapting, but in this case also you have to write down in chapter 3 that you have adapted these instruments from Garbina to, let's say, Garbina 2019 or 20. Right? Here the level of measurements we commonly use in quantitative. It is interval, it is ordinal, it is nominal. The highest one is, or the downest one is nominal. Usually, I give you here some example for it. So in nominal, usually we use it for demographic data. And also, commonly we use ordinal measurements, which is can be Likert 5 skills or also 7 skills. But for skills, for us, usually we use 5. Okay, you can include many types of question in your research, in your survey. Can be factual, can be informative, can be opinion, can be about self-perception, right? I think we will share with you the slides later. I don't know, depends, the organizer have her plan, I think, to, right? What is factual? It is all about your demographic data, informative. It is about how do you come to know about blah, 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 and also opinion. What is your opinion? What is your own beliefs on certain phenomena or certain issue? And what is your also beliefs or action towards something else? something toward any issue. Also, you know, you can get two types of question in your questionnaire: open question and close questions. The close question you have to, when you give them options, but open when you let them to express their own opinion towards some issue. Okay. This is what we call it unstructured and structured. Unstructured, it is to reply. You make your participant to answer freely. Okay, means they are free to write down their opinion. But structured, it is fixed questions, no open questions. You give the participant multiple choice. Scaling response, as I mentioned just now, Likert type scale can be 5, can be 7. It is like agree, disagree, neutral. Okay, strongly disagree, strongly agree. And also very important, less important, important. Here I just show you some scale. Actually, it depends on your objectives. Okay. After you get with your set of questionnaire or survey, as a human beings, of course, we will make error. Okay? So, of course, there will be some error with our measurements. Can be instrument error, can be human error, can be also random error. So, error also cannot be actually fully eliminated. We have to take some steps to minimize this error. Okay? The good instrument also must be designed to minimize an instrument error. Okay, now I will give you one example. How you are going to minimize this error in your research or in your survey or in your measurements. How you are going to minimize it. You have to run the reliability and validity test. I mean reliability test, and also you have to do the validation for your instrument. After you have done your instrument, you get it ready already, then you have to test the validation. What is the validation? The validation, you have to give or you have to pass your questionnaire to the 2 or 3 or 4 experts in your field. Let's say your field is education. You have done with your survey. Go and give your survey to people who are expert in the field of education to give you some comments. Right? What is the reliability? Reliability test can be run in SPSS. We call it pilot test. Okay? This is when we test the internal consistency of your measurements. We have to run alpha, Chromebook alpha test. Okay? You have, let's say, you have to pass your questionnaire to 30% or 30 people, and then let them answer. and then go and key in the data in SPSS, and then you have to run the Chromebook alpha test here. Okay, reliability can be internal. You can use Chromebook alpha. You can use also smart half reliability. Can be also run by t-test, retest, t-retest. Reliability can be also through the intra-rater reliability and can be inter-rater reliability. Okay, what we mean by retest? Here, when you give the same result on 2 occasions, the score should be similar on both occasions. Okay? Here, if you get it similar, means your measurements are reliable. Right? If you want also to run the intra-rater reliability, here, the same person obtained the same measurements on 2 occasions. Inter-rater reliability here when 2 people obtain the same measurements. After you do all this validation and reliability for your survey or questionnaire, and your questionnaire here already become valid and reliable, here basically you can start your data collection step. How you are going to collect your data? Here we have several methods. You can send via email. You can, depends on also, you can post in the web or in social media platform, but also depends on your sample. Cannot randomly go and post your survey in social media and you ask people to answer. No. What is your sampling? What is your population? All right? And also you can go direct to them and interview them or handle your questionnaire to them. After you collect your data here, of course, you have to go and analyze your data for software that you are going to use for quantitative. So many software. We have SPSS, we have EMOS, we have a smart BLS, we have R, we have Stata, okay? And how you are also going to the things that is good in easy and can save your time and efforts in online survey. All the respondent answer can go to the Excel sheet, and from Excel sheet you can convert it to SPSS. But for me, in my time, I just I key in the data manually in SPSS, right? Because my server wasn't online. I have planned to do it online, but unfortunately, my sampling was academic, and academic, I didn't get the response from the academic and online survey. Right? So how, sometimes you will ask also, when I have to use SPSS, when I have to use EMOS, when I have to use Smart BLS, when I have to use R and Stata. Again, I can say that it is depends on your research questions. If your objective and research question nothing to do with mediation, why you have to use EMOS? You can use only SPSS. You can run your descriptive data through SPSS. You can also test your hypothesis through SPSS, regression or chi-square or t-test or whatever. But if you have a mediation, if you have a very strong theory, here you have to use AMOS. What do we mean by a very strong theory? If you are going to test two mediation, if you have some, if you have also three or two independent here, if this theory or of this hypothesis not have been tested before, then here you have to use AMOS because you have a very strong theory. I have used AMOS during my PhD also because I had mediation. When you have to use a smart PLS, it is also based on your objective and research questions. Sometimes it is not just basically come and say, doctor, actually I want to use a smart PLS. I want to use AMOS. Then I have to go and check your questions and objectifiers. Okay? It is not about you won. No. It is about what you need, what question research, what question and objectives needs to be, and how you are going to analyze them. If your question doesn't need to use smart PLS, why you have to use? So when you have to use smart PLS is like, let's say, it is only for confirmation. One study said there is a relation between this and that. One study come and also say, yes, there is a relation between A and B, or Y and Z, X. Okay, you come out now, you see that many research say there is a relation between the variable A and B. Then here you can go and run smart PLS analysis, and then you have to confirm. Stata and R, I'm not that familiar with it, but Stata, as I know, it is also used for quantitative. If you want to present your result in a good visualization style. This is also will be a kind of contribution for you. All right, what is the advantages of quantitative design? As I mentioned, allow for statistical analysis and also provide quantifiable data, and also from the results of quantitative design, we are enabled to generalize our findings. Okay. It is done with the session of today, but if you want me to share with you my thesis also, I don't mind. And we can also open the session of question and answer now. Students, any questions? You can also write your question down. If you don't have any questions, I can also share with you my thesis just to get you more clear in quantitative research. Okay, research or what I can say, the The PhD is all about your contribution. What is your contribution? Right? So you have to come, what is your novelty? So you have to come up with a new topic. Right? Here, let me share with you the instrument. How you get your instruments, okay? What we mean by instruments? It is the item, the questions, the variables that you are going to measure, and how you adapt and adopt from literature review. Okay, let's say here, if you want to measure, here I adapt the level of viewing, I adapted from literature review, but I have also to mention, to refer. I will share with you my conceptual framework. Just to show you why I have used Amos. Okay. Here is my conceptual framework. Okay, when I have read so many intensive or so many literature review, actually, many studies only study one variable, only one of these variable. Just I want to show you my contribution. Okay, only they study one variable and how this variable, let's say, experience or performance of news sources without awareness, no mediation. So they study only the performance of news sources relation direct to the attitude. Okay, here another study only study what or examine what experience, and another a third study only examine the time exposure. So for my contribution, I have examined the three variables in one study. This is one of my contribution. So second contribution, I didn't study only the direct relation to the attitude. No, I studied the direct relation. I mean, I have mediation. How this relationship go to attitude, but within awareness. So here, my second contribution. So for each of these, you have to get hypotheses. Here, I have one hypothesis. Here, you can see the arrow here. The arrow here means I have one hypothesis. Here, I have another hypothesis. Here, I have a third hypothesis. Right? So I have here the fourth hypothesis. Here, I have the fifth. Here, 6, and here, 7. Focus on the arrow. Each arrow have one hypothesis. Right? So I study the relation between these three, how these three has a relationship to this and this, but through two mediation. That's why I used Amos, because here I have a strong theory. I have combined three independent variables in one study, and I have to test two mediation variable here. And how this can go to, and I have to test whether there is a direct relation, strong direct relation, or also the strong relation can go through the mediation here. This is all. I get all this answer when I run my models in Amos in chapter 4.
Excuse me, may I ask a question, please?
Can.
Abhina from Maldives. Can you go back to the conceptual framework, please?
Excuse me, you are from where? Which university?
Maldives.
Maldives. Okay. Are you a student? Are you a student in the Lincoln?
Yes, I am.
All right. In which department?
Sorry, management.
Management. All right. Oh, I lost. Okay.
Yes, I see demographic variables. You are not checking on each above three variable, the time, exposure, preference, and experience are all
Yes.
combined and then checked on it, right? Not
Yeah,
separated, because
I just
I don't see the line.
Yeah, no, means I didn't test the moderation there. I only test the moderation or the differences among gender, age, and academic level in between the awareness and also the attitude and image and perception. And I have already run one test in Amos for this.
Yeah,
Yes, my hypothesis only here. I can go back. I can go back to the hypothesis and I show you. Wait.
All right.
It is depends on my hypothesis actually. Here.
Yeah.
You can read here. Gender does not significantly moderate the relation between awareness and attitude and image, attitude and perception of Arabs. Okay, it is based on my hypothesis. I have get this, and then I explain that the error depends on my hypothesis in the framework, right?
Yeah, and then in the framework, did you see a major big difference when you checked all three together, and then the awareness and also the attitude is again as a new variable? You have the demography along with the 5 variables you are checking, right?
Of course,
So
yes.
was
See
there
here,
with
in my final chapter, I have run. There is also a package software in the MS to check your moderation. This is almost, I have done 2017 actually, not now.
Okay.
Long time ago already.
Yeah,
see, here is the moderation. Here standardized for only female. Yeah, also of course you all see differences.
There's the differences, yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, students, before I end this session? Any other questions before I end this session, please? If you are shy to ask, you can write for me in the chat. What?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Dr. Ashwak.
Thank you so much, Dr. Somia, for this informative and rich lecture. I'm really proud of you and of what you have presented today. I wanted to draw on one point which is related to the reliability and validity of the instrument of collecting data. If we give an example, I would like just to give an example. Just to make
you are welcome. You are welcome to comment and to give us your opinion, Dr. Ashwak.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's kind of you. If we say that reliability and validity is about the consistency and accuracy of the instrument of collecting data. One example I would like to mention here or to elaborate on, for example, when students write, for example, in a questionnaire, they write some points which are repeated, like they repeat the same statement in different ways or in different forms. So we can say this kind of repetition or redundancy of information in the points of the questionnaire. This is related to accuracy. So this is one point. We say accuracy and consistency. Okay, right. It's related to consistency. Sorry, it's related to consistency. But if we speak about accuracy, if one point of the questionnaire or for example, the one question of a test, for example, if the researcher is conducting a test, whether in a pre or post test, and then one question is found out to be measuring kind of information which are not needed, which doesn't fulfill or achieve the goal of the research, then it's a violation to accuracy of the instrument of collecting data. Yes. So this is what I like to elaborate on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your informative and good comments, Dr. Ashwak.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments and any other questions, please, before I end this session today? So, since no comments, no also questions, so thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you for your participant in our session today. So,
Dr. Somia?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ken.
I just need to invite all the participants and attendants today to participate in our conference, ICOG 2024. It will be conducted in July, 4th and 5th July. So all of the participants today welcoming to our conference, international conference, and we will give them the deadline of submission abstract already closed, but we will extend the deadline for only those who attend your workshop.
So welcome for all the participants. And I need to share the link. You can see in the chat, please. Yes, you can check the website. You will get all the information they needed in the website. So welcome for all the participants in our conference.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. All right, thank you, Dr. Sahar. I think we shall end the session now, right? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you for your comments and participants. And see you, inshallah, in next week.
Another thing I need to add, for the certificate and the PPT and all the materials related to this workshop, we will inform all the participants in the in our workshop WhatsApp group. All the information will be there.
Okay, any other things you want to add, Dr. Sahar?
That's it.
Okay, then thank you so much. See you, inshallah, next week. We have another session, inshallah, on Wednesday. Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much and bye-bye. Bye-bye. We shall end the session now.
Thank you very much.